Hey y'all, I'm Mandy, and this is Mandy in the Making. Today I've got another winter dinners for you. This week I've got 2 different meals that we've had throughout the week. We normally share 3, but this week is just a 2-meal kind of week. So normally I film 3 different meals that I've made throughout the week, but with Easter being this past weekend, I kind of took the weekend off to spend time with family, obviously. So I only filmed 2 this week, but they are great. You don't want to miss them. I did want to go ahead and thank Meeson for sponsoring today's video. I've worked with them before. I've been using their knives for months, and it's all I reach for anymore. I've got a really great deal for you, especially if you are looking for a Mother's or Father's Day gift for a mother or father that loves to be in the kitchen. A Meeson knife would be a great gift. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump into the first one. I've already filmed that. I will be back in just a little bit with our second meal, which I'm about to start right now. I'll see you in a bit. For our first recipe this week, Steven chose this one. He tends to look for different recipes. Maybe I've kind of burnt out on looking for new recipes, so he's like, let me go look. He found this one and it sounds really good. It's a slow cooker beef stroganoff. It's gonna start out on the stove. We're gonna sear the meat and saute some of the vegetables, but then everything else is just gonna go in the slow cooker. It's pretty easy, and I have a feeling it's gonna be very tasty. I've got about 2 pounds of stew meat here, but some of the pieces are pretty large. We want to cut them down to be about 1 inch each. Okay, I chopped up our meat, and now we are going to get this really large skillet heated to about medium-high heat, and we're gonna add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. While we wait on this to get pretty hot, we are going to season our meat. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of garlic salt and some pepper, and then we're also going to toss it in about 1/4 cup of flour. Once your skillet gets hot enough, you are gonna sear the meat in batches. You're only gonna sear it for about 45 seconds per side. You're not trying to cook it, we're just searing it. So you just wanna brown it and flip it, and then as soon as it's browned on all sides, go ahead and remove it to a plate, and then just continue working until you are done. Now that we're done with the meat, I'm gonna take this same pan and we are going to put in a tablespoon of butter and let that melt down. And we're also going to add in about 1/2 cup of white wine, and we're gonna deglaze the pan, and then I'm gonna throw in my mushrooms and my onions. If you don't wanna use white wine, you don't have to. You can just use chicken broth. But I'm just letting all of this melt down, and then we're gonna throw in those mushrooms and onions. Okay, I just added my onions, and now we're gonna add my sliced baby bellas. I'm only using half the amount of mushrooms it tells you in the recipe, just because Cole is not a huge fan of mushrooms, and I'm gonna leave them as large as possible so he can just pick them out. We're just gonna let this saute for 4 or 5 minutes. This has been cooking for about 4 minutes. For this last minute, we're gonna add in about 4 cloves of garlic minced, and just let that cook, and then we'll be ready to move over to the crock pot. So to our crock pot, I did go ahead and line it just so it's easier for cleanup. I'm gonna add 4 cups of beef broth, which is this entire container, 1 teaspoon of better than bouillon. I'm using the roast beef flavor, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of the Dub sauce, Worcestershire, and 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. We're just gonna mix that around really good. Now we're gonna add in all of our beef and any juices that are on this plate. And our onions, garlic, and mushrooms, along with any sauce that's left over. Give that a good stir, and then this is gonna cook on high for 4 to 5 hours, or if you're doing it earlier in the day, you could do it on low for 8 to 9 hours. Okay, it's time to finish up our stroganoff. Let's make a cornstarch slurry. I'm going to get 1/4 cup of cornstarch and 1/4 cup of water and mix that together here. It's hard to do this one-handed. It takes just a little bit to get the clumps to go away. You just gotta work with it. Before we add this in, I'm gonna go ahead and start my egg noodles. First thing we're gonna do is pour in our cornstarch slurry. This is just gonna help thicken it up. Stir that around. We're gonna flip this over to warm. While we let this sit, we're gonna mix 1.5 cups of sour cream with a couple of ladleful of the liquid that's in there with our beef stroganoff. Dude behind the camera has mentioned it twice that he would love for me to add just a little bit of this. So we're gonna add it right here into this.
A little crushed red action.
Not a lot.
Nah, just a sprig. It's just a smidgen. I guess you add more in there.
Okay, that's enough. Oh yeah, that's starting to thicken up. And now we're just gonna add in our sour cream mixture. Now, the recipe does say it's optional. You can add in a can of cream of mushroom soup if you want to right here. We're not going to, but that will thicken it up even more. Okay, y'all, let's eat.
Down with some homemade.
All right, well, this was the recipe you picked out, so if you don't like it, it's your fault. Oh, maybe a little pat on my back too, you know, since I cooked it. Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks, thanks.
Wow. Mmm.
How's the meat? Is it tender? Okay.
Buttery, just melts in your mouth.
It's funny that you say butter, because I just remembered something. At the very end, it calls for 2 tablespoons of butter to mix into it, and I did not do that. But it's okay? Mm-hmm. Would that just like take it over the top, maybe? It's already over the top from your facial expression.
I mean, it would smooth it out some, but it's not going to really add so much.
Okay.
I mean,
totally forgot. I just got sidetracked and forgot to do that.
But this is tremendous. Yay. The sauce is crazy good.
Okay.
I mean, wow.
Well, I'm excited to give it a try.
That's really good. Usually, like when you eat the beef stroganoff, it's too, it's almost pasty.
Okay.
But I like how the sauce is, I don't know, I don't want to call it soupy, but it's just more, there's more sauce here to enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm excited to dig in. We're also having some Brussels sprouts with this really cool dipping sauce. That is going to be in a video coming up very soon, so don't miss that, but I'm going to dig in. This is delicious, but I just want to show you how tender this meat is. It just falls apart. Like literally, when you bite into it, it just falls apart. It is amazing. Yep. So tender. This sauce is really good. I can't imagine it being any better, but do what the recipe says and add a couple of tablespoons of butter at the very end before you serve it. Yeah. Totally forgot to do that, but this is a 10 out of 10 recommend. Delicious. Before we get started on tonight's meal, I did want to give you a little more information about Mise en knives. I have 3 of Mise en knives. I have the chef's knife, which is my favorite. I also have their paring knife, and I have their bread knife. Like I've mentioned before, I have purchased more expensive knives, and Mise en beats it hands down. Why do I prefer Mise en? Basically, I like the way it feels in my hand. The weight is perfect. It's really well balanced, and it stays extremely sharp over time. Not only that, but it is the same quality, if not better, than more expensive knives, and it's like half the price. So what makes Mise en different? First of all, their average customer rating is 4.8 stars out of 5. Not only is the chef knife the perfect hybrid of toughness and durability, but they are crafted with the same premium quality as other leading chef knives at half the price. The unique sloped bolster encourages a proper pinch grip for comfort and control. It's also made with premium steel, and the blade angle is a 15-degree angle. Most Western style knives have an edge angle of 25 degrees. They use a 15-degree angle for a noticeably sharper cutting face. And Meeson is also handcrafted and tested. Their knife is hand tested by refined professional chefs, avid home cooks, product designers, and people who've never even held a knife before. They went through 37 prototypes before they had the perfect knife. So like I mentioned, I've been using mine for months, and I highly recommend that you get one for your kitchen and or you get one for your mom or dad if they love to be in the kitchen. So if you were interested in getting the chef's knife or any of their other knives, today I've got a code for you, and it's going to get you 20% off site-wide, plus you're going to get free shipping for any orders over $75. So if you use the link in my description box and you use code Mandy, you'll get 20% off site-wide and free shipping over $75. Thank you again to Meeson for sponsoring today's video. Let's cook our second meal. Our second meal is really, I don't even have a name for it. We're just going to call it chicken sausage and veggies. But basically, I just went into my fridge and grabbed all the vegetables that we needed to cook up. We also had a package of chicken sausage, so at that point I was like, this is gonna be a really easy and healthy dinner, and it's gonna just take a few minutes to throw together. So I've got my large skillet heated to about medium-high heat. We're gonna add some olive oil and about a tablespoon of butter. Let that melt down. The first thing I'm gonna add are our potatoes. These are gonna cook for 10 to 12 minutes. I'll turn the heat up a little bit more. And you can always add some more butter or oil as you need to, and we'll season these in just a second. Let's throw a little Italian seasoning on these. And some, you can do salt and pepper and garlic powder. I'm gonna use Auntie Nono's. Now we're gonna add in our chopped chicken sausage. We're just gonna let the chicken sausage cook for 2 to 3 minutes before we add in our veggies. Gonna add in a couple pats of butter. Let that melt down. And just a little more olive oil. And now let's add in our veggies. Got a lot of veggies here, but they were all gonna go bad here soon if I didn't use them, so we'll just let this cook down for a few minutes. I'll also season it here in just a second. I'm gonna put the lid on this to help it kind of steam down a little bit. We're gonna add our potatoes back in. Lastly, we're gonna throw in some Parmesan cheese.
You just add enough in there until it feels right?
Until it feels right, that's right. There's no measurements in this dish. This is a cook up all the food dish.
Cook what you have.
That's right. And that is dinner.
This looks amazing.
It does.
And all kinds of veggies up in here. I mean, everything. Peppers and like a zucchini squash, meat, onions. The seasonings are incredible. Really, really, really good. Not it's got that fresh, crisp,
Yeah.
touch to it. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Italian seasonings go well with this, and the Parmesan cheese.
This would be a great one during the summer if you go to a farmer's market and pick up all kinds of fresh veggies. Just make an easy skillet. Cole, are you enjoying it?
Very.
As soon as he saw his plate, he said, "Is there more in there?" Because this is his type of meal. He loves fresh veggies and all of that. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna dig in, Princess. There's some Parmesan cheese in there. I'll get you some. Okay. Can you give me a minute? This is so yummy. Stephen came up with a name for it. It does not flow very well though.
Chicken sausage veggie medley.
Yeah, it doesn't flow very well.
Doesn't have too much flowage.
No, we don't have a good name for it. So if you have a good name for this, leave it below in the comments. But I highly recommend just going and checking your fridge, seeing what veggies you have in there, what you can throw together. This chicken sausage, we almost always have chicken sausage on hand or kielbasa. That would be good in this as well. But this is delicious. Now we need to go get somebody some Parmesan cheese. What you think? You're not gonna talk? No? Okay. She talks while we're talking. Oh, there we go. Come on, let's go get you some cheese. A little bit of Parmesan cheese. Thank y'all for watching this week's winter dinners. I'm sorry there were only 2 instead of 3. Hopefully next week we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming. Don't forget to go check out my description box. I've got a link there, and you can use code Mandy to get 20% off site-wide on Meeson's website, and you're also going to get free shipping on any order over $75. It's the perfect website for you to go find the perfect Mother's Day or Father's Day gift. If you haven't already, I would love for you to join my YouTube family. Hit that red subscribe button before you leave. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and I will see y'all next time. Bye. We're still recording.
Am I?